One.
Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Today is September 29th, 2014, and this is show 67. And the name of the show is a little hard to read. We'll get that adjusted. But the name of the show is We Did Good. Now you guys are going to say, Rich, what do you mean we did good? Guys, we did good. On show 65, we talked about the climate march. And we were able to get 400,000 people to come out and march and participate in the climate march. And guys, earlier, 5 months ago, in show 45, which we did back in April 7th, 2014, we did a show called about pet coke. And guys, because of you guys, John, can we see these still now? Because of you guys, look at this. We put public, this is an article from the Huffington Post, and it says, public pressure forces tar sands waste operator out of Chicago. So guys, I wanted to, John, if you come back to me, on show 45, when I asked you to rally around to help make things happen, you guys got together and this is what we accomplished. So not only does this show get 400,000 people into the street, but we also shut down the bad pet coke operations. And guys, not that we're blowing our own horn, but we're gonna go back to show 45, and we're going to show you exactly what I said verbatim, and you'll hear what I had to say, and then you'll see what's happened. So John, hit it. And then, after we inflame you, then we're going to inform you. And tonight we're going to start off. It's show 45, and the show is on, can you see that all right? Is that showing up there all right? Tonight's show is on pet coke. You're going to say, Rich, what's pet coke? Guys, I didn't know what pet coke was until 3 days ago. I don't think I ever even heard of it. Once I found out about it, I said, you got to be kidding me. And guess who we get to thank for pet coke? The guys that bring us pet coke, the Koch brothers. That's right, guys. We're gonna show you beyond the shadow of a doubt how these guys are intent on destroying this country and killing your kids. When you see the stuff that they're putting in Chicago, and the fact that it's a toxic dust, and they're putting it in Chicago. What's Chicago? The Windy City. So you're gonna put toxic dust in the Windy City. What these guys won't do to make more profit. And I mean, when you see the show tonight, guys, you're gonna be inflamed. Believe me, you're gonna be inflamed that stuff like this is allowed to happen. Guys, I don't know if inflamed is good enough. We might want to use the word outraged, like they use it on Fox. Oh, they're outraged. Well, guys, people, and you can watch the whole show's on YouTube, show number 45. And when you see this stuff is just, pet coke is bad jazz. And once it gets on stuff, you can't get it off. You have to wash it off. It's not like it's dirt. And, what we're going to do now is we're going to show you the actual, I would call it a newspaper clip, but they're not anymore. So the headline on Think Progress. So John, there we go. All right, so Pet Coke operator driven out of Chicago. Now, guys, that picture, everything looks white. But Pet Coke is not white. It's as black as the ace of spades. The reason why it's white, look around, it snowed. So we don't want to get to the impression that Pet Coke is good stuff. All right, so let's go to the next. Now, this is the actual article that went with it, and I'll read it because 7 months ago, after Mayor Rahm Emanuel vowed to make it costly to store dusty petroleum coke in Chicago, one of the operators apparently has caved to the legal and political pressure. Emanuel announced late Wednesday that Beersterbor Slag Corp has opted to sell its storage terminal along the Calumet River at 106th Street rather than continue to fight a series of lawsuits and regulatory actions filed against the Hammered-based company by city, state, and federal officials. The mayor also noted in a news release that Beersterbor recently withdrew applications for new state permits to store petroleum coke and coal on the edge of the South Deering neighborhood. Last week, an administrative law judge fined the company $50,000 for violating a city order to stop storing petroleum coke at a separate nearby site, which city attorney said was permitted to handle only road salt. We take this issue very seriously and will not let any company or individuals violate our law and hurt our quality of life in order to make a quick buck, Emanuel said in a statement yesterday. So John, come back to me now, and then we're going to go to the next part. But guys, so the one company threw in the towel, and they said, okay, we're not going to fight the system. We'll comply with the orders, we'll pay the fines, and we'll move ahead with our lives. But guess what, guys? The Koch brothers are also in the same neighborhood. And guess what the Koch brothers did? The Koch brothers would never throw in the towel. They want to take them to court. So let's read the second part. All right. Beersterbor is one of the two companies that have piled huge amounts of petroleum coke or pet coke just south of the Chicago Skyway Bridge, making the city a key repository for the refinery byproduct. Some of the high carbon, high sulfur material is burned along with coal at power plants and cement kilns in the United States, but increasingly it is shipped to China, Mexico, and other countries with more lenient environmental laws. Neighbors in the South Deering and East Side neighborhoods have complained for months about gritty dust blowing off the Chicago piles, sometimes in black clouds so thick that people kept their children inside with the windows closed. Emanuel earlier this year pushed for new regulations that require any large pet coke piles in the city to be fully enclosed by 2016. A new zoning ordinance effectively bans new operations. Beersterbor officials did not return phone calls on Wednesday. The largest pet coke operation in Chicago, KCBX Terminals, has threatened to sue unless the city allows its piles to remain uncovered for an additional 2 years past Emanuel's deadline. Controlled by industrialists Charles and David Koch, the firm is dramatically expanding its storage of pet coke from the nearby BP refinery in Whiting and other refineries across the Midwest. Illinois officials last year cleared the way for the company to handle up to 11 million tons a year of pet coke and coal at its sprawling open-air terminal. John, you want to come back to me? Guys, these guys have no shame. None, and they could care less. The only thing they care about is profit. And that's what today's show is going to be primarily about. We've got to change the corporate attitude. And you know, it's funny. On 60 Minutes last night, they had Jack Ma. Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba. Overnight, he became one of the richest men in the world because he took Alibaba and he developed it. And you know what he had to say about their corporate strategy? Number one, take care of the customer. Number two, take care of the employees. Something that we're missing in America. In America, we try to stiff the employees. We try to pay them as little as we can so the shareholders can put more money in their pockets. And that's why we have to change the business model here, guys. Now, John, I think we had one more still. And let's go back to that. But I just to show you, we're going to show you where it says that the Koch brothers, there we are, KCBX terminals, and look at the left-hand side, look at the Koch brothers insignia. So guys, whenever you see that insignia, and John, you can come back to me now, whenever you see that Koch brothers insignia, you can spit on the ground. And if you go to buy a product like paper towels or something, and you look on the back and you see the Koch brothers insignia, put it back on the shelf. Even if the other product costs you a nickel more, pay the extra nickel. Don't give these bastards any more money. They're evil people. And we're going to show you how evil they are with the next clip from Robert Kennedy Jr. And what he considers what these guys are doing, it's reckless endangerment. And they should be thrown in jail. I know that's scary, reckless endangerment. But when you put that much carbon in the air, and you understand that there's going to be consequences, and yet you do nothing but try to deny what you're doing, well, guys, you know, that's reckless endangerment. So, John, let's have the next clip.
I think they should be in jail. I think they should be enjoying 3 hots and a cot at The Hague with all the other war criminals who are there.
What about politicians, people who deny, who express skepticism?
I think they're selling out the public trust. And, you know, I think those guys who are doing the Koch brothers bidding and who are against all the evidence of the rational mind are saying that global warming doesn't exist, that they are contemptible human beings, and that, you know, I wish that there were a law you could punish them under. I don't think there's a law that you can punish those politicians under, but I think the Koch brothers should be prosecuted for reckless endangerment. Absolutely. That's a criminal offense, and they ought to be serving time for it.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we couldn't hear the clip, so it really threw me off there. Every once in a while this happens. You know, we take everything off of YouTube, so we're kind of at the mercy of what we get. But the next clip that we're going to do, and I want you to pay attention to this, because the people that finance the denial is a group called the Donors Capital Fund. Have you ever heard of them? The Donors Capital Fund. Ring a bell? No? Not like GE? You know, not like Ford, Chevrolet? Donors Capital Fund doesn't okay. Well, we're going to show you Professor Christian Parenti. He's going to talk, and he's going to explain why why the Koch brothers have to be the way they do. They've got so much money invested in the oil industry that they're afraid. They're afraid to embrace the change because they're looking at so much. They think they're looking at losses when they just don't understand. So anyway, let's play this next clip, and you can see what happens with the denial. John?
In an effort to explain why so many in America continue to deny this crisis, we met with writer and investigative journalist Professor Christian Parenti on Far Rockaway Beach, one of the hardest hit areas in New York, to hear his thoughts on climate denial.
We've been all around the world talking to world leaders. We've been seeing the effects. We can see it here in New York. Why in America do so many people insist it's not happening?
There's been a really concerted effort to invest in messaging that denies science. The fossil fuel industry is the most powerful industry in world history. They have enormous amounts of sunk capital, pipelines, these refineries. The idea of moving off of fossil fuels onto clean energy is a very serious threat. Koch Industries is one of the largest privately held companies in the US. It's a major petrochemical, oil refining, oil services firm. They're elite right-wing political activists. It's not a secret conspiracy. They're very open about it.
Right.
And they invest heavily in the political process. This outfit called the Donors Fund has ponied up close to $100 million to fund climate denial.
Right.
Fund bloggers, media, to deny a very, very broad scientific consensus.
Yeah.
They are defending their economic position very openly by investing in messaging.
We are not in global warming. It's a theory, it's not a fact, it's never been proven.
The science is not settled. Get off of it.
Now, it's important to remember that America is the largest energy consumer in the world. We also are the largest polluter per capita, we consume the most oil, and are the only country in the Western world not to have ratified the Kyoto Protocol. Clearly, America has a huge negative impact on the global environment. However, on the positive side, it also has the power to affect climate change by altering its current consumption patterns, which it has to do, because if it doesn't, we are all in serious trouble.
If you want to be the leaders of tomorrow, you must embrace the future.
It's very hard to reverse climate change, especially issues like sea level rise. Once you set it in motion, it is just not reversible. The time to act was yesterday, and the question is how quickly will the world wake up to the fact we have to do things differently.
Guys, did you notice that one of the sites that was funded by the Donors Capital Fund was Marc Morano's Climate Depot? It just so happens later in the show, we're going to have Mr. Morano on, and we're going to have him competing with the President Obama. Yeah. But wait, first we're going to go back to RFK, and we're going to show him talking to Michelle Fields. And guys, Michelle Fields, I just saw her on Eric Bolling's Cashing In. And the only thing that I can say about her is she's the ultimate foxtitude. Watch how she asks the questions, the trivial bullshit that she wants to know. And you're gonna say to yourself, hey babe, sweetheart, get a grip, will you? And it gets to the point where Kennedy actually grabs the microphone and pulls it from her. Because he said, look, I'm not gonna let you get away with this henhouse bullshit. Not here, not now. And guys, when you watch this clip, I tell you, you're going to give kudos to Kennedy. I like that. All right, so John, hit it.
I'm Michelle Fields for PJTV. We're here at the People's Climate March in New York City, where we had the opportunity to speak to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Take a look. This is a pretty large event. There were millions of flyers handed out, over 400 buses with people coming here. Are you concerned about the damage to the environment that something like that would cause?
I think you need this kind of event to save the environment. What I'm concerned with is the kind of damage that's being caused by Exxon and the Koch brothers and by the oil wars that we've spent $4 trillion on over the last 10 years. And the only thing between us and that kind of future where the oil companies have subverted our democracy and are running our foreign policy and running our domestic policy, is people power. They have the money on their side. We have the people on our side, and we need the people here to show that they don't want to take it anymore.
Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
I have a cell phone.
You do? Are you concerned about the damage that the cell phone and electricity generation causes to the
Are
environment?
you joking about this?
No, I want to know if you're willing to give up your iPhone.
No,
Are you
I'm
willing
not
to give? Why not? Doesn't it start with people like you? You're here saying you want.
No, it starts by changing the laws so to rationalize the marketplace so that we reward the most efficient forms of energy use and we punish the bad ones.
Shouldn't you lead by example?
No, I do lead by example.
So are you going to give up your cell phone?
No, I'm not going to give up my.
Are you going to give up your car?
Are you going to give up yours?
I'm not the one who's here talking about the environment. You're here trying to change the environment, trying to change the laws. So I'm asking if you are going to lead by example.
No, I'm not going to stop using a cell phone, and I'm not going to stop using. I don't believe that we have to reduce our quality of life in order to have a rational free market, in order to stop the use of carbon, in order to divorce ourselves from a fuel that is destroying our planet. What we need to do is change the laws. It's much more important to change your politician than it is to change your light bulb or your cell phone or your automobile. It's much more important because right now, the Koch brothers own the Tea Party, they own the Republican Party, and they own a lot of the Democratic Party. And if they were saying to us, listen, we don't care what kind of car you use, but we're going to make a law that says you can't make a car in this country unless it gets 40 miles per gallon, or you can't make a car unless it's an electric car. And everybody's quality of life can be maintained. We don't have to go to war and spend $4 trillion in foreign wars because the Koch brothers are going to make higher profits from doing that. And one of the biggest canards that the press has fallen for is by blaming individuals for their own choices. That's not the issue. The issue is what's happening on Capitol Hill, and that's the thing you guys aren't paying attention to. You're letting these people, you're letting the Koch brothers run our country, subvert our democracy, corrupt our politicians, capture the agencies.
You could say the same thing about
capture the agencies that are protecting the rest of us from pollution and destroying local democracy on every level. And that's what you ought to be paying attention to, rather than asking trivial and inane questions about whether or not, what kind of car somebody drives or whether or not they use cell phones.
Reporting in New York City, I'm Michelle Fields for PJTV.
Guys, there's only one way to answer that bitch. Bada bing, boom. You see what she was trying to do? She didn't care about the issues. All she wanted to do was raise a little bit of that. Oh, well, you guys took 400 buses to get down here. You had to burn fossil fuel to get down here. Oh, you have a cell phone. Oh, well, you had to burn fossil fuels to make the... Will you stop with the nonsense? Stop already. And you know, I tell you, whoever her parents are, they ought to sit her down and say, honey, it's time to stop. I don't care what they're paying you at Fox. I don't care what they pay you. The future of the planet is more important than your bullshit. And I tell you, the stuff with, like the Attorney General of the United Nations said, there's no planet B. This is it. We screw this one up, your kids ain't gonna have nowhere to play soccer. It's that simple. All right, now, the next clip is of the marchers themselves. And guys, we just want to show you what democracy looks like. So John, hit it.
People's Climate March 2014, New York City.
31 from New York City.
We're both from Patchogue, we're both 17. I'm Julia, I'm 17. Connecticut.
Virginia.
New York. California. Minneapolis. I'm from Manhattan. I think this march really just unifies all of the different different causes, and that's the main point of it. Like, it is to change the climate, but for us, it's really to bring us together so that we can make change in a much bigger way than just one march is going to do.
I'm here for this guy, for my son.
I'm marching for my grandchildren's grandchildren.
I think now we're realizing just how critical it is to take action immediately, that we're almost too late.
Families that brought their kids, grandparents who brought their grandkids. This is exactly what we were hoping to have here.
My children are here, my friends' children are here, all her family is here.
Greenhouse gases are poisoning the masses. 3 generations, all down here.
My parents grew up in farms, so they believe that honestly, if we can't protect our earth, then we can't live here.
Of people that are actually here in Central Park is amazing.
But I am impressed with the size of it, and I think it speaks to the fact that this nation is at a tipping point. We've had enough. Leaders need to listen, they need to act, and they need to act right now.
You know, guys, I better take it easy promoting some of these events, you know? I mean, geez, if there were any more people down there, the lid would have come off, you know? All right, now, when you have 400,000 people, guess what you're going to have? A lot of garbage. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, what does Fox News and the Christian Broadcast Network have to say about the march? I guess you can guess. So, John, hit it.
The hundreds of thousands of people committed to fighting climate change left mounds of garbage in the wake of their weekend protest march through New York City. Critics are calling out the protesters on social media. Images posted on Twitter show piles of trash, including cardboard signs, plastic bottles, and garbage costumes left on the streets, piled on top of sidewalk mailboxes and posts. In an interview with the New York Post, David Kreutzer from the Heritage Foundation criticized the protesters for using fossil fuels by taking planes and buses to Sunday's event.
Guys, you know, you think they would mention the issues, but no, this is the, you know, and this is Christian Broadcasting Network. What would Jesus say about the garbage? You know, what would he say? Jesus would never let this crap go on, I tell you. And just to show you how evil these guys can be, we're going to show you a clip from Fox News, because we got to give you the Fox News view. So the next clip is Fox News and why there's been no warming for 17 years. So, John, hit it.
The Earth may or may not be heating up, but there's no debate that the fight over man-made climate change certainly is. Despite repeated proclamations that science comes down on one particular side, it turns out many scientists do not agree. Correspondent Doug McKelway reports tonight on the deepening divide over an issue that is part science and part politics.
But the debate is settled. Climate change is a fact.
A torrent of new data is poking very large holes in what the president has called the scientific consensus about global warming.
The dirty little secret is that we're now at 17 years and 8 months of no global warming.
Guys, now you heard from the president, and in that clip you heard from David Kreutzer. And he was from the Heritage Foundation, one of the Koch brothers think tanks. Now, you got the president and you got the Koch brothers. The name of the show is Who's telling the truth? Well, that's what we want to find out. Who's telling the truth? So let's go to the next clip, very short one. John, hit it.
The 18 warmest years on record have all happened since you graduates were born.
Okay, guys, so the president says the warmest years on record have happened since the college graduates were born. Let's be fair and balanced, and let's show Fox's side of the argument. John?
The problem with runaway global temperature is we're going on over 17 years with no global warming. And to put that in very simple terms, every high school kid today has not experienced global warming. Every elementary school kid today has only experienced a slight global cooling.
Proponents will have to grapple with the central fact, which I think Mark Morano laid out. There hasn't been appreciable change, increase in global climate temperatures in 17 years.
All right, now we went even further than fair and balanced. We gave Fox 26 seconds, and we only gave Obama 6 seconds, so that's pretty fair and balanced as far as Fox goes. Now, the one thing that I want you to notice is there's a failure to communicate here. I mean, who's right? Is the president right, or is a blogger right? Is the President of the United States right, or is a blogger right who's financed by the Donors Capital Fund? Well, guys, there's only one way to settle this. And the way we're going to show you how we're going to settle this right after this next clip. So, John, hit it.
Red alert, everybody.
Somebody is wrong on the internet, and we are not going to stand for this.
Time to bring on the big guns.
Hey everyone, Lacey Green here for D-News with a special guest host, Dr. Karen Bondar. We're so happy to have you here on D-News, Karen.
Oh, it's awesome to be here. Thanks.
Of course, thanks for joining us. So I want to know, have you ever been in a debate?
Oh, yeah. Have you?
Yeah. I mean, we work on the internet, right? It's kind of hard to avoid. So recently, a study coming out of Dartmouth sought to figure out the best way to convince someone that they're wrong, oh so wrong.
And what's the one place that people hold on to their beliefs the most? Yeah, it would be politics. It's an area of debate that is susceptible to something called disconfirmation bias, or the tendency to deny information that conflicts with our pre-existing beliefs.
So to figure out how best to convince someone of the facts, they tried to persuade those who call themselves liberals that Bush's Iraqi surge had prevented further violence, and to persuade conservatives that more jobs have been created under Obama.
What they found was very interesting. Researchers tried to convince the participants by trying a few different methods. First, presenting the facts out loud, then in a text paragraph, and finally, with a chart.
So verbalizing the facts out loud was the least effective. People saw the facts as up for debate and responded with verbal counterarguments.
The text was also similarly ineffective, but the charts.
Them charts. When presented with a chart or a graph where the facts were explained visually, people were much more likely to accept the information that conflicted with their former beliefs, and they were less likely to argue about it. So you know what this means, right?
Charts all day, baby.
Heck yeah, arguing with your parents? Boom, charts.
In a Facebook debate during those elections, pull out the charts.
Really hate someone and just want to prove them wrong? Charts on charts on charts.
These researchers speculate that the reason the human brain and ego responds better to visual information is because it's our native language. The area of your brain that processes visuals is larger and more developed than the area that processes words.
So when we hear verbal information, like right now, for instance, our brain has to work harder to understand and remember the information. You're more likely to forget what was said and all the little details. So just so we all remember this, can we get a chart up in here, please?
Beautiful.
Thanks for joining us for D-News, folks. What's your favorite debate strategy?
Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more D-News.
See you next time.
Guys, so that explains it. From now on, charts, 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 charts. And we're just going to show you charts after charts. Now, on the next video, there's going to be some charts in it. And we're going to show you how the deniers would like to alter the chart, but also at the very end of the clip, I want you to pay close attention to the warmest years on record. All right? So, John, hit us with the next one. So guys, did you see at the end of that from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Aviation Administration? I think that's what that is. But the hottest decade, the hottest years on records have been in 2000. So I mean, who's trying to give you the double reverse? So John, let's actually, go ahead, expand it. Go ahead, let's take a look at this chart. This is the global surface air temperature record. Now the HADCRUT 4, that's the United Kingdom. That's the, if you look at the three, and I think the other one is from the United States, and GISS is from the Goddard Space Institute. But guys, take a look at that chart, and you tell me any person in their right mind that would say the world isn't getting warmer. I mean, now John, let's go to the next chart. Guys, this is the amount of CO2 in the air. And you could see where the highest the level's ever been was almost 300,000 years ago. And if you look at what's happening now, it's scary. I mean, we're off the chart. We're so far off the chart, we make Al Gore look good when he did the movie Inconvenient Truth. Remember when he had to go up in the scissor lift jack because the thing went so high? Guys, this is what's happening. John, what else you got? I know we got a bunch of stills that's it? Oh, brother, because we took them off? I thought we had them all lined up, guys, so I apologize. But, you know, let's go back to the other clip, to the first one, number 17. I mean, that's as plain as the nose on my face, guys. I mean, you look at that and you say, yeah, the world's getting warmer, but yet you watch Fox News and all they want to do is deny. All right, now, guys, the next clip is going to be what's possible. And this is going to be from a clip from the UN. And we're just going to show you the positive aspects of renewability. So, John, hit it.
One day, we will wake up to find that the energy that powers the alarm clock came from the breeze through the trees the night before. And we will go to work that morning riding the rays of the sun. It will light our cities and power our businesses. It will warm our homes and cool our workplaces. It will reduce sources of conflict and fuel our economies. It will connect us all. It won't scar the land or poison the seas. The food we eat will be good for our bodies and good for the planet. And the weather that day won't make us worry for tomorrow. There will be more jobs and less disease. The sea level will stop rising. And species will stop dying. The question is, how do we get to that day from where we are today? All 7.3 billion of us. We start by deciding that beyond our doubts and differences, such a day truly exists. And that is something each of us can do today. We can make today the day we stop thinking that the changes required to get there are impossible and beyond us, and start realizing that they are not only possible, but what the future requires of us. We must stop turning from the warnings of science and fear and denial, and instead turn toward the solutions and partnerships we need. We can make today the day we stop pointing at each other in blame, and instead chart a new course together. We have never faced a crisis this big, but we have never had a better opportunity to solve it. We have everything we need to wake up to a different kind of world. We need our leaders to be brave and their choices to be bold. They will either remember us as the generation that destroyed its home, or the one that finally came to respect it. We have every reason in the world to act. We can't wait until tomorrow. This is our only home. You can choose today to make a world of difference.
All right. So guys, like he said, it's time to set a new course. And this is what we have to do. And when we set a new course, we have to come up with a new business plan. It's that simple. We've got to make sure that the profit gets shared by everybody, that it just doesn't go to the shareholders. So guys, let's see what the kids of today have to say. Let's see what the next generation has to think about climate change. So John, hit it.
Why did the generation before me leave us with a lot of environmental problems?
Where is the action that was once promised in spirit? There's so much power the world has, but we just don't do anything.
This isn't just us we're losing. This is future generations, the planet as a whole.
For me, this is not a problem that will only affect our future generations, but one that affects me now.
Why?
Why?
¿Por qué?
My question to the United Nations is, why? Why do you sit here and pretend and do nothing?
Why do we continue doing nothing when these drastic weather changes are already claiming the lives of people?
Why wait until it's too late to stop using fossil fuels?
Why do we continue to scour the globe for the last of the dwindling resources?
Why don't you take more action? What are you leaders afraid of?
The environmental issues that are most important to me, for one, it's the drought.
The dredging of the Great Barrier Reef, the deforestation in Tasmania.
The dam that provides my city with water is predicted to be drying up by next month.
All these organisms are becoming extinct.
A floresta amazônica sendo destruída, muita pouca umidade vem aqui para a região sul e sudeste, então provavelmente daqui a alguns anos a gente passa a ter pouquíssima água aqui.
My dad wanted to try put a wind turbine in our garden. The council said, no, it doesn't look pretty enough. If we actually want to try make a change, you've got to help us try make a change.
When my generation grows up, we may not have the time to hold summits about climate because it will have already affected us too much.
To the leaders of the UN, I would like to ask, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not come up with region-specific solutions?
Why not?
Make the change to clean energy.
Why not focus on increasing the efficiency of renewable energy sources?
Why not inform and engage the students of this generation to act upon climate change?
Why not give tax benefits on green energy?
Por que não criar programa mais forte de proteção ambiental?
Why not be committed to a future for your people? Me and the whole next generation are counting on you.
Why not now?
Why not now? Why not now?
Okay, so guys, you're hearing it. Why not? And getting back to what we were talking about earlier, it's setting a new course. Just on Friday, Governor Cuomo from New York announced that there will be investments that will increase the solar capacity of New York State by 68%. Guys, I'm just reading it. This is the New York Sun Awards, and it's to generate 214 megawatts. So they want to get the fund up to $1 billion, but right now the fund has been financed $94 million by the state of New York and $375 million by private investment. Guys, when the investors start to embrace solar, we've reached a tipping point. It's all downhill from that. It's just going to keep getting cheaper as we go along. It's like anything else. Think about your phones. When phones first came out, remember how heavy they were? You couldn't do anything with them. Now, I can communicate with the world and I can Google anything. It's just phenomenal, the stuff that we can do. And getting back to New York, there's going to be 142 sites. There's going to be 50 businesses that are going to be affected. 41 schools are going to get solar panels. 36 government sites and 15 colleges and healthcare facilities. So, guys, as we've done clips on, in Danbury, at the Somers Street School, every day when those kids go into class, they see the solar panels on the front of the building. It's repetitive, over and over again. Repetition is the mother of learning. And that's how, these kids are going to develop with the idea that social and wind, wind power are the renewable ways to go. And speaking of solar, Ross Solar is almost done with Solarized Brookfield. And guys, so far they've had 18 sales. That means 18 homes are going to have panels put on. They're going to generate, the average house is going to be in Brookfield. The average house was 8.5 kilowatt hours. That's a size system. The average system is 7,000. In Brookfield, it had to be bigger. They're going to be able to generate up to 150,000 watts of electricity. Think 150,000 watts. And they're going to use up to 600 panels. So, and speaking of panels, in another part of New York, they're going to be building, Solar City bought Silveo, a solar panel company. They're building a brand new solar panel building plant outside of Buffalo. And guys, you know, when you see some of these solar projects, you know, you say, well, 600 panels is a lot. Some of these things have hundreds of thousands of them. I mean, it's amazing what you can do and how we can generate electricity, all from the free market. And speaking of the free market, let's have a little, this is a little something that I picked up from Charles Koch, one of our buddies, and he says that the free market ideology, the minimum wage hurts workers and slows economic growth. Low taxes and less regulation allow people to prosper. Public assistance hurts the poor. Government is the enemy of liberty. These guys, they have no shame whatsoever. Uncle Joey, these are the guys that are pumping you up, baby. These are the guys that make you post all that stupid stuff about Obama that you do all the time. And why? You know, I don't know. We've been over this so many times. It's you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. And, you know, these are the type of people you stand with. You know, and sometimes they say, you know, what's wrong with you? But, Joe, there's some good news. With all this extra money coming into New York, you might be able to whittle down Solar City and get your solar panels cheaper. You can redistribute wealth into your own pocket, Joe. That's right. You can eliminate uncertainty and become a job creator by putting solar panels on your roof. You can use Karl Rove's old trickle-down economy. It's going to trickle down let me tell you something. It trickles nowhere. The Koch brothers put it in their pocket, and you'll never see that money. And your kids will never see it. And that's if your kids even have a planet to live on. But yet, you know, you got to keep buying this BS from the Koch brothers, and it's just sad. You know, it's sad how they take your patriotism and they use it against you. You think you're being patriotic by being a climate denier? Nah. The only thing you're doing is hurting your kids, and you don't care. You don't care because you and the other fruitcakes that you pal around with, you're all singing the same tune. You need a new band, babe. All right, now we're going to finish up the show with a little comedy because we're going to need some. And this is from Jon Stewart, and we're just going to have some fun. I'm sure you guys heard enough about this coffee salute, you know, with President Obama. And, you know, like I was just talking about with Uncle Joe and being patriotic. And don't get me wrong, Uncle Joe is a very patriotic guy. He's just got his wires crossed. That's all. He's doing the right things for the wrong reasons. Or the wrong things for the right, I don't know, but he's all mixed up. He's one of the simple folk. Him and the T-Billies up there in Catskill, New York, you know. The T-Billies, I love it. The mountain folk, you know. All right, so anyway, John, let's have some fun. Let's have the Jon Stewart clip.
That discussion, I give you our national media.
President Obama's so-called latte salute.
Holding a cup in his right hand.
The great coffee escapade.
Coffeegate.
President Obama in hot water.
Some people think it was disrespectful. Hashtag latte salute.
The coffee salute went viral.
The bot is blowing up online.
We are so I don't even know what to do. First of all, we're currently fighting, if I may say, so apparently we're currently fighting ISIS and Ebola, two things that are literally blowing up and going viral. So if you're not going to cover the important stuff, at least don't use words that remind us of the important stuff you're not covering. Okay. Now, to be fair, Lattegate wasn't all the news talked about yesterday, but where I might have given the president salutes with coffee cup story an espresso-sized shot of attention, the news channels went for the full double venti coverage, with one network going especially deep.
Learn the proper respect of the salute.
It's insensitive. What's the meaning of it? That's it. It looks terrible.
It's outlandish and it's disappointing.
Put your coffee in the other hand.
Our commander-in-chief displayed his complete disrespect for the men and women in uniform.
Shut up! You don't really care. You don't really care about this. You have no principle about this. You're just trying to score points in a game that no one else is playing. Here's how we know.
It's an arrogance that he portrays. These people put their lives on the line for us.
You're right.
Show the respect. Salute these guys.
So the principle here is show respect for the people who are putting their lives on the line for this fight. Here's Eric Bolling on that very same episode.
The first female pilot piloting for the UAE dropped the bombs on ISIS on Monday night.
Would that be considered boobs on the ground or no?
First of all, forget the rampant sexism in that statement. Second of all, she's a pilot, so whatever gender-specific equipment she might be carrying is in the air. And thirdly, what was the quote that someone said earlier in your program? These people are putting their lives on the line for us. Show respect. So you and all your false patriotism. When Bush took us to war, any criticism was shouted down as treasonous. When Bush took us to war, any criticism was shouted down as treasonous. But the president you don't like has the country poised on the same precipice. No transgression, no matter how immaterial and ridiculous, is too small to cite as evidence that this president isn't as American as you are. You want a hot cup of cognitive dissonance? Watch this.
Would President Bush ever do that?
Yeah, are we surprised? I mean, after all, we got a chai swilling, golf playing, basketball trash talking, leading from behind, I got no strategy, Osama bin Laden is dead, GM is alive, a community organizing commander-in-chief. How disrespectful was that?
Yeah. Now, while Palin in a bald cap was feeding us a steaming bowl of liberal epithets, he drinks chai. So that means when he sucks in the back of a Volvo, it has that cardamom zing. But in their haste, they forgot to answer the question, would President Bush ever salute the troops with a cup of coffee in his hand? And the answer is no, because his hands were too filled with dog, a Scotty, out of respect. So
patriotism is to Joey. And Joe, you're a patriot. God bless you. We need people like you who care about our country and lead us to war against carbon. Can I count on you to defend our fellow Americans? See you next week, everybody.